What's up, guys? Don't mind the mess. I've got too many projects going on at once and, shit just tends to pile up. But recently I bought this 2005 KTM 85SX from a guy down in Martinsville. It needed the whole works, top and bottom end. They let it sit in a barn for 3 years. They said they were gonna put it back together, but you know how that goes. Sometimes it just never happens. So finally got all the parts for it. Air filter, Wiseco, bike in a box. Shout out to Motorsport and Pulpamex for the 20% off code for that. I've got the cases all in here, soaking in the parts cleaner. So this is basically what the whole bike looked like when I got it, just covered in grease and just mud and nasty shit. So that's why I threw it in here to clean it up. So I've got all the cases and the cylinder all cleaned up, ready to install the main bearings now. I have this one installed. Just need to figure out how to punch this one out to install this. Had to bring in the expert to try to get this main bearing out. So I just honed up the cylinder. A little difficult to see. It actually comes out really well on this lighting. I've got the minion over here putting in another crank bearing. Or the other crank bearing, excuse me. And after that, hopefully we can get the crank in. So these Garage Buddy kits come with a bandana for your dog because I guess Wiseco or your cat, depending on what you have, donates some of the money they make from these kits to animal shelters. It's a pretty sweet bandana. I don't think it'll fit his fat neck though. Will it? Probably not. So now the Minion's been lubing it up with the Maxima assembly lube that came with it. And if you've never used this stuff before, it literally smells like hot tamales. So it's pretty nice. Crank is in, spinning perfectly free. Not touching either of the case walls. That's a big no-no. If you put one in and it touches a case wall, you fucked it up. Now we're ready to we're probably just gonna go ahead and put the cylinder back on and a new piston in, so that way we can have the top most of the way complete. The head is still soaking over here, the head and the power valve are still soaking over here in the parts cleaner. But those will be done probably within an hour. Time to get this cylinder on, piston in, and one step closer to selling this thing. So as we're assembling the top end, I suggested to Jake that we needed to check the ring end gap. And so we put this brand new 85SX piston ring in it, only to realize this cylinder has been bored out to a KTM 105. Or this might actually just be a KTM 105 rather than an 85. So I'm going to do some research on the VIN and double check. I'm hoping it's a 105 because that'd be even better. But regardless, I'm going to have to get a new piston for this. So if anybody has a 05 to 12 85SX that needs a new piston and ring, hit me up. So I peeled off the front number plate to check this VIN number and the sticker. And the sticker in real poor condition, although it says date manufactured 06. So maybe this is actually a 2006 105SX. When I looked up the VIN number, it didn't help me or lead me anywhere. It just told me that it was a 05 50SX, which clearly this is not a 50SX. So I'm leaning towards this actually being a 2006 105SX, which is pretty sweet considering I bought it thinking it was a 2005 85SX. So I'm gonna order up the parts I need, the new piston and some Woodruff keys for the flywheel and the primary gear. And hopefully by next weekend, I'll have it all cleaned up and ready to ride. So the parts are finally in. I went with a Vertex piston this time because honestly it was a little cheaper and it's still a great quality piston. OEM pistons now and KTMs are Vertex, so can't go wrong with that. Also got the new Woodruff keys. Might as well get some of those for this thing. Since we're making it all fresh, might as well be really all fresh. So now I'm gonna file down check the ring in gap, and if it's not sufficient, then I'm gonna file it down and hopefully get this thing running today. Right now I'm connecting the top end to the bottom end, sliding the wrist pin through the piston. I checked the ring in gap in the cylinder and it was sufficient from the factory, right at 0.25, which was right where it needs, or 0.025, which is right where it needs to be. And so now we'll just connect the top to the bottom and throw the cylinder on. Maybe. Oh, my sunglasses fell on my face. First time? I'm scared. Spit on it. I've never been quite good at putting it in. There we go. And yes, I put lube on it. We're up the minion into putting the other wrist pin clip in. Come on, it's so easy, do it. Your pliers are too fucking big. So she said. Yeah, they're too big. Never heard that before. Of course you wouldn't have heard that. Hey, we're twins. What does that mean about you?
I know what I'm saying. Where's the other ones?
Oh. Don't scratch it. Don't scratch it. And what if I do? It's coming out of your paycheck. Circlips are in. Amazingly, none of them went down to the bottom end. Thank God. Let's pull these nuts off. Put the cylinder on. Not before a little bit of assembly lube on the piston though. This is hard to do one-handed. It's kind of a bitch. And yes, for those of you wondering, this is fine to use with gas and petroleum. See? Compatible with engine oils. Get all nice and lubed up. Throw some in there. Yeah, there we go. All nice and lubed up. Now time to pop the cylinder on. Easy as that. And after doing that and putting the nuts on, my dumbass realized I forgot to put the damn gasket on. So, all right, gasket is on. Let's try this again. Oop. Just that easy.
Yep.
Burp of approval. Just pull the power valve, the exhaust flange, and the cylinder head outside of the parts cleaner. Clean them all off, give them a nice little shine up, ready to throw on the top end. This power valve will open much better. It was full of just crust and just shit. And it's way more clean than it was. Still not perfect. I'm gonna scrub on it a little more, but way better than it was. It should run a lot better now. I wonder why my camera keeps going blurry. You shaking? So after inspection, we realized we are definitely gonna order a new basket for this because these plates are pretty damn loose. That's not good. And actually, if you can see, the basket is pretty notched. So, new billet basket for this. Make sure it runs a little better for a little heck of a lot longer, actually, with you when you put a billet basket in it. Right now, Minion's working on the power valve. What do you gotta say?
Calling me Minion.
It's not gonna happen.
Should work better now that I've put the piece I forgot to put in there. Oh yeah, a weird thing about these 85 and 105 power valves is there's no gasket. Even on the OEM parts exploded diagram, there's no gasket surface like at all.
Huh, that is weird. No wonder the front of it was completely black and covered with spooge when we got it.
No kidding. Whoever buys this is just gonna have to run the piss out of it.
So, as usual, this is yet to be delayed. It won't be finished this weekend, but new basket will be on the way, new clutch plates and everything, all the works. This thing's about to be a factory bike for an 05. About to be a whole brand new bike. So whoever buys it's literally getting a brand new bike.
Damn.
So the shipment we were waiting on today came in, and it came with the gasket we needed for the 105. It also came with the oil Jake ordered for his bike, oil I ordered for my bike, and Rocky Mountain messed up and sent me a green shifter. So I got a free green shifter. Sweet. So I've got the new O-ring in place for the head, and I threw a little bit more assembly lube in there just to make sure the cylinder and the piston are all nice and coated with some good lubricant, so that way there's no metal on metal contact, so when this thing starts up it's not dry firing, or not dry firing, but it's not starting dry. So now it's time to place this guy on. Okay, make sure the gasket's in place. Drop this head on. Torquing down the head bolts now. 7 foot-pounds. This is really hard to do with the camera in hand, so I'm gonna put the head's been torqued down. Now we just gotta wait for the new clutch basket to come in to finish this thing up. So I took the swing arm bearing apart, or just swing arm apart, and cleaned up the bearings. Luckily they were packed with grease. Usually when you find these old bikes, they're never packed with grease. So whoever had this before, bravo to you for taking care of it actually. Although it was old grease, it's time for some new stuff, but at least it had grease in it. So now I'm gonna throw some new red and tacky in it and drop the frame into the motor. I don't have Jake here today and my GoPro's dead, so I'm gonna do the best that I can with limited camera ability. So bear with me. Bearings are all greased up, rollers and spacers in place. Time to throw this motor back in. Get this thing rolling. So I got the motor back in the frame. Everything's torqued down, greased up, ready to go. So radiator hoses are all connected now. Everything's good and tight. Just now waiting to get a new power valve cover. Lost that somehow in the process of building it. It's somewhere around here, but I can't find it, and I don't want to look for it any longer, so I'm just gonna buy a new one. Still waiting on clutch basket and clutch parts. Need to rivet the basket to the gear, or the gear that goes behind the basket when that comes. But for now, still waiting on it. Other than that, I cleaned this bike up. I shined the pipe and everything. It looks much better than it did. Still, probably once it comes back together, gonna give this a nice pressure wash just to even out and make sure it's clean and ready to ride and good to go. Other than that, everything's been greased up. Wheel bearings have been greased. Top to bottom, swing arm bearings have been greased. Got a video of that earlier. Just about there. Need to put the car back together too, but we'll save that for another day. Oops. That. Just rebuilt the car, put a new gasket in it, footwell gasket, new jets, everything. It's all good to go. Now just to put it back onto the bike. All right, guys, so we finally got all of our pieces today. We're ready to take what we need here from the old clutch assembly and use it toward the new. We got our brand new basket, our plates, springs, bought some other things. Like we couldn't find the push rod nor this little ball bearing that
is used in the clutch, so bought brand new of those. Got some new grips. And lastly, a new power valve cover because we can't locate where ours. It's hot today, isn't it, buddy? So just got the clutch plates soaking in some oil right now. Gonna put them in here just in case that oil bleeds through that bag. Next, we're gonna put together the clutch basket. We're gonna put the primary gear. It's somewhere in here. It's in this bag. Gonna attach that to this clutch basket. Gonna torque all of these new bolts down and put some Loctite on them, and then we'll be ready to install the clutch. So I got the rubbers and the gears put on. Time to put on the plate. Let's get some red Loctite on these little screws, and the clutch will be ready to be assembled.
So the new basket's installed, hub is in place. About to torque it down to 60 Newton meter. Sweet. Now just time for the plates.
It'd be a lot easier if this thing was on the side.
The one I zoom in on. Wow, that was better. I should have been zoomed in on that one. All right, so the springs are all torqued down. Clutch is ready to go. Motor's pretty much, actually the motor is all ready to go. Just need to connect the subframe, the carburetor to the air boot, put an air filter in this thing and start it up. Oh, and put on the Kickstarter. Obviously gonna need that if we're gonna start it. New power valve cover looks great. Those hoses could use scrubbing, might have to do that. Other than that, the thing's coming along. All right, the 85 bored over 105 is all back together. Look how excited Ryder is about it. Let's get this thing out there and start it.
All right, so we brought it outside to start it. Got a little leak in the carburetor.
Oh yeah, it's really pouring out of the flow. Holy shit.
Yeah. Kick before we go empty. See if this thing starts.
Woo! First kick.
Breaking her in. Still need to put the grips on, but wanted to check the clutch out. Uh-oh. Need to turn the gas back on. She's dying. Carb's still leaking like a bitch, so have to turn the gas on for a second when I want to ride it, and then start it, and then let the float fill up, and then it'll then I can run it, because otherwise it'll just keep pissing gas out, and I don't want to lose all my gas because this non-ethanol stuff's pretty expensive. So it's a motor X I put in. Yeah, just a few more things to do. A little carb tune up. Should be good to go. Probably just have to reset the flow. Got Jake out on it now. Little thing scoots. Clutch is good, carb is good, everything's ready to go on it. Peeled off some of the old stickers that just kind of made it look crappy, make it look nice. Gonna give it a nice little clean after Princess over here gets done washing his bike. And I get done washing mine. But then this thing will be ready for sale after that.